I've always really loved the idea of customizing dolls, and when I grew up, I watched a lot of doll creators like Delightful and Hextian, and I'm tired of just watching. I wanna join in on that. So in this video, I tried making my first ever one-of-a-kind custom doll. There was a lot of trial and error, but I had a lot of fun. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm excited to keep doing this in the future. So here is the base doll we are starting with. I got this doll from the dollar store almost a year ago. She does have a very unfortunate name right off the bat, as you saw. Doll Poopy. So her life can really only go up from here, even if I fumble with the decoration. I just knew what was going to be under that ponytail, because this seems to happen for all really cheap dolls when they have their hair like that. This is to save money, just so they need less hair to root the doll's head. But this is actually okay, because I'm not going to be using the hair for the customization anyways. I'm going to be cutting it all off, and I will be using clay to sculpt on a new layer of hair. At this point in the customization, she's kind of giving riffraff. So I just sped through chopping everything off. And then once it got short enough, I figured out that I could literally just pull the little stubs of hair out with my fingers. This was really annoying and a little bit sore, but in the end it did work, because I did not want to try to use tweezers on that slippery thing. Now that I had a nice, naked, beautiful, shiny, bald head, I decided to get a beautiful, shiny, bald face as well by using nail polish remover to wipe off the face. This worked a lot worse than I thought it would. I cut out some of the footage of me scrubbing, but it took me so long to get this clean. I think I should have used straight up acetone. After that, I took a Dremel to the doll's body to try to get a little bit of texture, because I know that paint won't be able to stick on the smooth plastic. The clay that I'm using for her hair is the Crayola Model Magic, but because she's going to be a little clown girl, I gave her a little clown nose thing, and then I took a pencil and I sketched out what I kind of wanted her face to be like. This step was kind of useless in the end, because I end up painting over her face anyways, so why'd I do that? I tried to make some hair out of the clay, and even though this looked good, it took me a few tries to find a strategy that actually worked. You can see me here switching it up. I was already kind of learning what worked. This trying a buzz cut kind of base thing didn't work, but I tried it again. And each time I tried it, I kind of got a little further. So on my third attempt of that, I got something that's really messy, but once I add the actual hair on top, it didn't look bad. I wish I got more footage, but I sculpted two little pigtails, and I gave her a little swirly bang thing. Next, I decided to work on her pants. I've decided to also sculpt on all of the clothes more like a figurine, because I'm going to be very upfront and honest. I am so bad at sewing. I toyed with the idea of trying to sew some clothes for her, but I knew that with the effort I'd already put in, I did not want her to be wearing something really raggedy. So after I sculpted on the clown pants, I just smoothed them over with a wet paintbrush. This worked pretty well, and it was really satisfying, actually. I had a lot of fun. After the trouble that was doing the hair, just being able to smooth wet clay for 20 minutes was an absolute pleasure. Here's me blowing it with a hairdryer because I'm too lazy. So now I have a girl with hair and pants. She's got it all going for her at this point. It's a little 360 the base before I start doing accessories. I decided to give her two little clown hats, like these things. I don't know if they're actually worn on two sides of the head like horns. I usually only see them in the center like a party hat. But I feel like there's definitely some character designs that do this. I don't finish these now, but put a pin in these little things because they will show up much later in the process. Much, much later. Next, I tried to make her one of those clown ruffledy things, and this was the absolute worst part of this project. I had to redo this so many times, and I was just trying anything. I was trying to use a paintbrush as a roller. I was cutting as a ruler and leaving big black marks on my desk. But it took me so many tries. Like, look at that fall apart. This was so frustrating. I just there's a even bigger roller. Eventually, I started getting closer to what I wanted, but this still was not it. I ended up finishing the collar off camera because it made me so angry. Much like taking time to smooth clay, after the most rage-baity process, I decided to do something nice and not infuriating by just doing a base coat of white because I'm planning on painting her an inhuman color like for her skin, so I was going to go back in and redo that. Now I have a nice blank canvas of a doll to work on. Yay! I did a purple after much debate. I wasn't sure which color scheme to go for. I was stuck between primaries and cotton candy, but eventually I kind of leaned for something different from both of that. I kind of took the colors of the cotton candy, but it ended up more like a dusk sunset because it was much darker than cotton candy, but I was happy with the color choices in the end. I just gave her a nice deep purple hair, and I ended up doing some gradients on it, which I think are super cute. Here's me just painting her nose and then starting on the face. The face was really difficult because I have super shaky hands and I was so scared I was gonna mess up constantly. I think that was definitely one of the downsides to working at this scale because if I messed up even a little bit, the face was small enough that could warrant an entire recoat on the whole face just because of how small the details were. I went in with the whites to the eyes, which is really helped it start looking more complete and more like an actual face. I was really nervous, but I think at this point is when I started gaining hope. I darkened her lash line a little bit because I thought there wasn't quite enough contrast between her eyelashes and the rest of her face, and I wanted that to be pretty distinct. Adding the eyelashes were just especially scary because if you look at my big ol' hands adding each one, the eyes are smaller than my fingernails. Getting this kind of detail was if I sneezed or breathed or anything, I felt like I could mess it up. I added little highlights just kind of everywhere before painting the jumpsuit. I decided on this pink because I wanted to incorporate more of the color on the ends of her hair, that kind of pink that comes from the purple, but I didn't want it to be quite as dark because still I wanted kind of a little bit of the cotton candy feel still there. I thought that just plain magenta would be a little too boring, so I tried to do a blue to pink ombre on just the bottom of her pants by really, really watering down the paint and then just kind of just slapping it down there. It was just a lot of blending. I like how the colors are pretty subtle in the change. And after I finished the ombre, I went and I added a little bit more details to the pants because right now her face is kind of stealing the show. I added little knee rip pad things. These were really just to break up the big block of color that was her legs and make her just more visually appealing. Before I fully went in with the eyes, I sketched up this little design just so I knew what I wanted and I wouldn't mess up big time as soon as I started it. Here's me trying to recreate that design on this face. If I would improve one thing about the eyes is that I feel I didn't push the colors as much as I did in the image. And then you can see here I decided to do kind of a V-neck thing on the jumpsuit. Much like the pants, this is just to break up the big block of color to make her way more interesting, and also I thought that this would bring in more of the blues, which I just added into her eyes. I know it looks certifiably rough right now, but I promise I go back and I fix it a little bit later. In my mind, the outfit still was too boring, so I decided to do maybe the most annoying thing that one can make in art, a bunch of straight lines. I definitely failed on the straight part of the lines, but I definitely put down some lines on her, and I actually do like the effect. On her little collar thing, I added a blue ombre just to tie it into the outfit more. I do wish I had more blue on the face. I said put a pin in it. It is time to gently remove your pin because the little party hat things, they are back and they are blue. I stuck them on the end of a mechanical pencil to try to paint them, which kind of didn't work because they kept spinning, but in the end I got there. So I decided to put glitter into her eyes to give a cute little shine, again with the mechanical pencil, using it to apply it there. This was really finicky trying to get glitter on the end of it, but I think it just gave a lot of life to her eyes that wasn't there before. But it was after this where things started going a little downhill, because I went glitter crazy and I started putting the glitter like all over her outfit. Just on any part that was blue, pretty much. I just decided to put glitter there. Half the time you can't even see it. You can see it on the big chunks of color, but on the lines, there's like 2 singular pieces of glitter there. It's not awful, but I wish that I found a way to do this a little bit more tastefully. I don't think it really takes away from the design necessarily, but I don't know if it adds a whole bunch either. I'm definitely someone who suffers from glitter blindness. I kind of convince myself that the only way to improvement is just slap a huge layer of glitter on there. This was necessary glitter though. I decided to give her little jewel buttons on her jumpsuit, and this was the best decision that I made in this video. It's so cute. I'm actually very obsessed. The very final touch was her nails, and then we were done. I tried to take some photos of her, but they look like dead wife montages from movies. I'm really excited with how she came out, and I'm really looking forward to making more in the future. I decided to name her Kit the Clown, and I'm just really happy with how this came out. I hope everybody else liked this too, because I really did. Goodbye.